Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Melanie or She Shed Scrappers. So today I am finally back with a two-page layout. I know there's been lots and lots of one-page layouts this month, but I finally have a two-page layout. I am going to be scrapbooking a trip to Jurassic Quest. A very fun time. If you have little boys who love dinosaurs, they are like life-size, maybe not life-size, but ginormous dinosaurs. When we went in 2019, you could ride on some that walked around. It just such a fun time. So that's what the pictures are from. And I have an older Echo Park, I think it's called Dino Friends collection. But I have used it and used it and used it. And so I have two, um, pretty much two 12 by 12 sheets of paper left. So I really had to kind of figure out how to make those two sheets stretch into a two-page layout. So you can see that I'm kind of playing with the placement of the papers. I thought maybe I would kind of stretch it by separating the patterns, but decided I didn't really like that much. And so I did end up bringing them to the middle. But in doing so, because the plaid paper is behind that kind of nice teal paper, I was able to just cut strips and save some paper instead of wasting all of, a whole long strip of it. I was able to just kind of cut it down and line it up at the top and the bottom of this paper. So you can see those two little strips there. The background pages is actually kind of like a craft paper. It's the basil with the dots that kind of are embossed, I guess. Some of the collection, I think I have the 6x6 paper pad, has some craft paper in it. And so that's kind of why I chose that background, and actually really do like it with the layout. I have 6 photos I am going to be scrapbooking. And I'm kind of going to almost line them up all the way across. So here is another, I think the back side of the plaid paper is this kind of orangish red paper. And you can see that I'm really trying to stretch this paper out as well. You can see I know the placement of my photos, and I'm going to have that one kind of offset. And so I was able to save that space behind that photo so I could use it on page 2 as well. So just really, really trying to save my papers because I only had the two 12 by 12 papers to kind of stretch throughout the whole layout. So page 1 kind of done, obviously, besides the embellishments. Page 2, we are going to just kind of line the photos up across the page. I did cut I think 4 of the 6 photos down a little bit just because I could, and kept, I believe, the one that's offset on page 1, and then the one that I ended up double backing one of them. That one I wanted to pop out a little bit more than the other two. It was a better photo quality than the other two, and so I did kind of want your eye drawn to that instead. So you can see that I do have that double backed in the middle of those two there. I am going to use scraps from, I guess, the papers here. I wanted that red paper on page 2 as well. So I decided to shorten it a little bit and kind of make it into a flag behind that third photo there, and I think that worked out really nicely. I do kind of wish it was top to bottom, or at least all the way to the top, now that I'm looking at it. But again, just working with what I had in scraps at this point, just trying to kind of coordinate everything across the page. I did decide to pop the 2 photos that are full size up on some foam tape. I tend to kind of double back them and pop them up on foam tape just to really draw your eye to those photos. And so again, I did that on this page. I had before I started recording, backed I believe a Paige Evans cut file here. I have the 6x6 paper pad, and so that's what I used to back this cut file of these dinosaurs, and thought I was going to use them all the way across page 2, but didn't like the way that it covered up some of the photos, and I kind of popped that middle photo up on foam tape, so it didn't work quite the way I wanted it to, and so I ended up cutting it in half, and it worked pretty well. The nose of the green dinosaur is a little cut off, but other than that, it worked really nicely. I have these alphas from a different Echo Park collection that I just thought the colors matched. They were fun. They were kind of crazy. And I do have 2 sheets of them, which ended up not being enough. I ran out of the S's. I needed another S, but thank goodness I do have another alpha set that is kind of the same colors and I don't know, kind of cut in half, you can see. So the S on page 2, the top half is just red, the bottom half of that S is polka dotted. So it just worked with that. I think I've had to do that in the past as well. So I kind of knew I had that in my stash. So that was the sticker sheet that came with the collection. That's all that I have left, which isn't much, and so I don't know that I actually used any of that, so I had to kind of go into my stash and find excuse me, some embellishment pieces. I have these amazing canvas flares from Scrap and Happy Studio, and I thought the colors worked really well, and so I decided to use one of those. I am going to use the orangish one. I don't see it there, but it says play all day. And then I had to go back into my stash. I remembered that I believe it's the field trip collection from Chamel has dinosaurs in them, and so I went and found that collection and kind of picked out all of the dinosaur ephemera, which actually worked nicely because I have my oldest son's trip to this Jurassic Quest to Scrapbook as well, and so that will be coming up, and that is going to be using the field trip collection, and so I kind of just set those as what I didn't use. I set aside to use on that layout, so that will be coming up before the end of the month. I decided to use those leaves at the top there, and there's that canvas flare that I'm going to be using. I just kind of layered that over top of the leaves for a simple kind of cluster there. I'm going to use this rocks at the bottom of that tag. It was kind of nice that the photo is set back enough that I was able to kind of overlap it with some embellishments. The field trip collection had a really cute tag that I used on the left hand page, and it was the perfect color, so I just kind of used that, offset that, and then added another epoxy flare from Scrap and Happy Studio as well over there. And then I just needed some kind of finishing touches, so I went into my stash to find some hearts that I could use that are kind of like the same colors, I guess, and have another Chamel collection. I've got Amy Tangerine, I've got Felicity Jane, so lots of different heart options in my stash, and so I added those to the cluster on the left and the cluster on the top right. And then I decided to just finish it off. At the end of the title, I decided to add a cluster of 3 stars as well. So that is going to finish off this layout. I hope you guys enjoyed and kind of learned how to stretch your papers. If you have, just a couple of 12 by 12 papers left, but need to kind of stretch it to a 2-page layout, I hope you guys learned kind of some tricks to do that. But that is all for now, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.